So, good evening. I am going to now put on a background and here we go. Right. Are we ready? So tonight's ride is called the Black Mountain Dragon. I'm hoping that you can hear me and that the music is all okay. Abby, if you're able to, can you just go, yes, all good, if it is, and then we'll get going. Okay, just going to move my music to where I can see it. So just riding along nice and easy, 60-65% max heart rate. And I'll tell you a little story about how this ride came about. Back in 2016, my friend Annie and I decided to run the London Marathon. Having done it a couple of times before, but about 14 years earlier, and having done some other big things, we knew we weren't going to be able to raise that much money if we just ran the London Marathon. I know to a lot of people that would seem like a massive achievement, and it is, rightly so, but our aim was to raise a fair amount of money at Millens. So we decided to turn it into triathlon, which basically meant cycling to London and then running the marathon, and then we arranged a swim down the Y when we got back. This was great because it meant that lots of other people could get involved in the cycling and the swimming, and we had a chance to raise a lot more money. So doing the swim was the final chapter, and we swam down from Glaisbury in our wetsuits to Hay. Kind of floated most of the way, got followed by red kites. I had an otter swim by me for a little bit. It was really quite amazing. We had some support canoes, and it's about 5 miles, considering none of us were swimming an awful lot at the time. The current kind of took us with it. Conditions were good. So we completed our triathlon by swimming down the Y. So coming back to the cycle, we're going to go on a little journey to Lantoni, which was the first part of our, well, back to front triathlon, I suppose you'd say, because normally it's a swim, cycle, run. And there we are finishing. We lost a couple of our support canoes who managed to capsize. But back to the cycling, there was a small group of us, including Caroline and Sue, who are part of this group, and we started off from the centre of Hay. I think it was a Tuesday morning, and headed off to Bristol over the mountains. This ride is literally going to be the first part. So anyone who knows this road, it is quite a climb. But you've got to approach that kind of climb. That's all the way up to the Tampa, so all the way up to the Gospel Pass before we head down to Lantoni. Using your gears and steadily increasing, for the spinning bike, increasing bits of resistance to kind of mimic that climb. So we're not looking to completely exhaust ourselves, because just like we were on the bike, we didn't stop. Well, tell a lie. We did stop to look at the view, which we kind of will be doing in this ride. So heading out of Hay. So just a nice, easy flat along the Brecon Road. Heart rate was rising a little bit because of what we were going to do. Like Bristol is quite a long way. It's about 80 miles, 85 miles with a lot of climbing involved before you get to the Severn Bridge, which in itself was good fun. So as we start to turn up the lanes, you find that the gradient just starts to change a little bit. So a little more resistance in, but keep it in the saddle. Still on the flat. A little bit more, and a little bit more, until you start to find a climb. Now the road out of Hay on Wye, it's got some sharp up bits, it's got some less sharp up bits, some kind of flats before it goes off again, but continually rising and getting higher as we head to the hills. So building in a little bit more resistance. I'm going to try and keep this ride as aerobic as possible, especially on the climb up. Your breathing is going to change. You are going to get warm. But we're never going to add so much resistance in that we're pushing ourselves so hard that those recoveries are needed too much. We use them to look at the view. So very soon we're just going to push ourselves up into a run on a hill, just as those little steep inclines start to kick in. We ready? Bit of resistance. Now one of our friends who was cycling with us, she was going to do the first day and then come back to Hay. She didn't even get to Hay Bluff before the spoke in one of her wheels broke. And she had to go all the way back, get a different bike and come on and meet us back to the saddle. Now hold the effort you've put in. Steady build. So these are little pushes, these inclines. When you're riding a bike outside, you change the gears, make it a little easier so that your cadence tries to remain the same, whether you're flat or you're climbing. So there is a little break when we get to Hay Bluff. You ready to bring it up again? So let's run on a hill, just a little push to push us up. Now at the moment, this is the first half of the first climb. Keep it out the saddle for another 30 seconds. Now we were all different cycling abilities when we did this. We all got to know each other's strengths and at times when we needed to help each other out. And sometimes we'd start to draft each other. So the ones that were tired could tuck in behind your own bike. and you kind of pulled them on back to the saddle. So just imagine you've got someone behind you now who's struggling. They're just riding off your back wheel as you pull them up. And any time you feel that you need to pull back, reduce your resistance a little, let someone else pull you up. Keep it in the saddle. We've got one more push out the saddle before we turn a corner and the real work starts. The second part of this first climb is quite deceptive. If you've driven it in a car, you won't notice it so much. So ready to stand, to pull us up to the first crossroads, where you go left to Craswell or right up to Hayblock. Hand position 3, bring it out the saddle. Now the first thing you hit is a cattle grid as you turn. All the bits of the climb that come next are short and sharp. So we change resistance, we keep our cadence steady, we try to stay aerobic. Back to the saddle. So we turn that corner just before it starts to get a little steeper. That's a single track. Traffic quite often comes down and up. But once you have turned that corner and you're on your bike, if you stop, it's really hard to get going again, especially if you're clipped in. So we need to keep it steady before we get to our first viewpoint. Standing climb coming up. First little push. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. It's a breeze in a car. I can tell you on a bike. Whew. Nice and steady. Just hoping whatever traffic comes towards you is going to go on the grass to get past. The road is going to get less steep, just briefly. So back to the saddle, drop your resistance just a little bit, keep it on a climb. We've got 2 more standing climbs before we get to our viewpoint. You ready? Bring it up. Increase resistance. That car. Now this road winds its way up to the base of Hay Bluff. Some quite sharp climbs, but with the right gear and standing up, you can get up them. Back to the saddle. 15 seconds standing climb. It's going to take us right to the little car park and maybe the ice cream van. Are you ready? Let's take it up. Keep it steady, 1 pedal stroke at a time. The road is just beginning to flatten out just a little bit. So back to the saddle, keep a climb just for a few more seconds. Now we're going to relax a little bit at the viewpoint. For 2 minutes, you can take it to a flat. I'm just going to look at the view. But you keep those pedals turning. And reduce, and reduce. Nice and easy for 2 minutes. You look to your left, you can see Penavan in the distance. Down into the valley below, you can see the River Wye, Hay, all the other little villages surrounding, and across to Llanbedr Hills. It is quite a magical place. And the relief to do that bit of the climb is, I can't tell you how good it is. So, just enjoy the view and some easy pedalling. Now we also had on this trip some amazing support. So Claire didn't come and do the ride with us, Claire who rides online. But Jim, her husband, was our support for the whole 4 days. And he would pop up to all the various places when we needed whatever we needed, puncture repair kits, food, to replenish our drinks. And later on, we needed something just to make it a little easier in the saddle. So there's Sue, who also does our online spinning, who rode all the way with me with Caroline. So the next bit, for those that you know Hay and those that don't, try and imagine. Again, it's winding with little bumps and grooves as you head up towards the Tampa, to the Gospel Pass. Now, this is a bit we didn't do, but we did look up at it. But tonight we're going to ride on our mountain bikes all the way to the top of the Tampa for our second viewpoint. So let's start by adding in a little bit of resistance and continuing our journey. Steady. Enough to feel the drag underneath your wheels as you begin to steadily wind your way up the road. A little bit more resistance in until you find your climb. Some standing climbs coming up to help us find our way to the Gospel Pass for those short, sharp increases in gradient. We ready? And position 3, let's bring it up. Back to the saddle. Stay in gear. It's about to change. We're still on the road. Increased resistance. Ready to bring it up to a standing climb, all the way to the top, to the Gospel Pass. Resistance, up we come. The Black Mountain Dragon, there to protect the mountains and all who travel on the road and on the hills. Back to the saddle. This is the steepest part that's left on the road, so we need to add in resistance and bring it up again. Steady. All the time helping each other along. Ready to take it off-road. Back to the saddle. Take it down. Just a temporary reprieve. Looking up the path to the Tumper. This is one of my favourite versions of Insomnia. Turn it loud. Increase. Increase. One standing climb to the top. Seconds. Resistance, build it in, and position 3. That's the road we've travelled. "90 seconds to dig in and get to the top." Your last climb. and down. And you've reached the top. That is technically your last climb, but there's still work to do. So 3.5 minutes to enjoy the view. From the cairn at the top of the Tumper, looking down the ridge towards the Dragon's Back and Womback. Looking out to the ridge where we'll make our descent. Now, descending on a mountain bike or even running downhill, it's not easy. It involves strength and stamina. So, we will have resistance as we come off the side of the mountain. So technically, it'll feel like a climb, but if you imagine yourself going downhill, the strength you need to have in your body to control that bike is what we're going to do with the resistance. So there'll be jumps on a hill. So a descent starts in 10 seconds. Start building in resistance. Start to gather speed, no turning back. Ready to jump. 3, 2, 1, go. And down. And up. And down. And down. Up for 8, down for 8. Keep it going. And down. Up. 30 seconds. And down. Keep it in the saddle. One more set of jumps. Trying to control our descent before we hit the road. 15 seconds, the jump again. It's short and sweet, 30 seconds jumping. We're trying to control the speed by jumping over the rocks, over the boulders. Come on. And down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Up. And down. One more set. Keep it in the saddle. That last little bit before we hit the road. Seconds, you can release some gear. And down. Okay. Just take a moment to step back, flat road, as it heads down. So we're on our way to Lantoni now. But there's a catch, there's always a catch. You can ride this easy and flat for the next 6 minutes. Or we can race it. So find a comfortable pace, one with a cadence you're happy with. Just sit with it. So in 1 minute, if you choose to, I'm going to add a bit of resistance in against this cadence. So relax the shoulders, sit back in the saddle. These lanes have got lots of potholes and they're very narrow. So you've got to watch out for traffic, you've got to watch out for your potholes, the overhanging trees, but we're still going to race it. "10 seconds, we're going to add that little bit of gear in. So suddenly your heart rate's going to go up. 3, 2, 1, resistance. Any point you need to come out of the saddle, there's a posture break, add some resistance in, come up shortly for a short period of time. But otherwise, sit back in the saddle, race your teammates down these country lanes. What we didn't expect when we were doing this ride to Bristol was the amount of climbing in Usk. Oh my word. We thought we'd done the climbing. 85 miles later, the next day, it was canals all the way, pretty much to the Cutty Sark. Okay, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. For those of you that know Lantony Priory, you also know that there's a pub there. So imagine whatever refreshment it is you want that you can have in about a minute and a half. And there's the sign. So close. We've arrived. Reduce your resistance and ride it nice and easy as we enter Lantony Priory. Now this is the destination for this ride. And we actually stopped, had a cup of tea and a piece of cake because it was about lunchtime, mid-morning, before we carried on down to the Severn Bridge, well, up and down to the Severn Bridge, across the bridge, which was brilliant, down the estuary, past the new Severn Bridge, and winding our way into the Bristol waterfront where we stayed the night. In an underpass in Reading, I just decided just to pose with the graffiti. And that's me, Sue and Caroline having got to the Cutty Sark 3.5 days later. And then me and Annie ran the marathon on the Sunday. And it was so lovely sharing that whole experience with so many different people who took part in different parts of the journey. And because we were raising money for Macmillan's and Annie's husband at the time was very ill, it was a very emotional journey. And it was such a fantastic memories made. Just start to slow down your pedals. I would highly recommend that as a bike ride. Stop over in Lantony, have someone there set up the tent or stay in the hotel. Cycle back the next day, or cycle to London. So just start to bring the bike down to a stop and just find little bit of balance on the bike and roll the shoulders. And the other way. Nice deep breath in. Pushing up towards the ceiling. As you exhale and push all the way down. Inhale. Push up towards the ceiling as you exhale, all the way down to the bottom. One more time, this time keep your arms at the top. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe out nice and slowly. Then find your own breath and just pull down the arm to one side. And the other. Back to center. Let the arms relax. Push out. And drop the head down. Hands around the back. Pull the shoulders right back. Bring one arm across. Look over the shoulder that you're stretching. And the other way. I have to say I think twice about swimming in the Y now, for that amount of time at any rate. Thank you everybody, thank you for riding with me. Let me know if you enjoyed having a few visuals on there. And I shall see you on Thursday.